Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Comes to you live from our comfy couch here on the outskirts of the internet. This is the Gaming Saloon Reviews for January 17th, 2021. With your host, Peacemaker248, and Ramp It Up Salon.
Hi.
We start a new show this week.
If you couldn't tell by me realizing that I yet again forgot to get a backdrop.
Oh, you got that one.
Yep. I actually got a decent version of that one.
I
Not
find
a
it funny
weirdly
that
cropped one.
Yeah, I find it funny that that image not only implies that Maya is Torque, but that Torque is the third most important writer in the series when he is not. I'm sorry, Zolda got de-emphasized into random villain for the series. And he was replaced by one of the movie writers, surprisingly enough. And one of those, wow, that's actually a bonus thing when it comes to the series of, holy shit, one of the movie writers became important. Not only important, but the third most important writer of the series.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah. And best of all, it's the only female writer in this series. Look, Dragon Knight actually, was way ahead of Toei when it came to female writers. Female writers. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as you see, folks, we are starting Dragon Knight, and I have to tell you, I guess some of the context for this, because you're probably going, okay, what the fuck is Dragon Knight? So, Dragon Knight is the second adaptation, or American adaptation we have of Rider. It is also the second only adaptation, or the last adaptation we have of Rider.
And it is also the only decent adaptation of Rider.
Yes, because our only other comparison is Saban's Masked Rider, and no.
Yeah, we don't talk about that one?
No. Look, Saban tried really hard to catch lightning in a bottle again after he did Power Rangers, and not only did he not succeed, no one else succeeded. Let's be honest. That's why I don't think we'll ever get another Toku adaptation, really ever, because none of them have succeeded since Power Rangers. Power Rangers barely succeeds on its own right. So I have doubts, incredible doubts. So this show actually aired on the CW, you know, that channel that has all the DC live action series that are doing a better job than the DC movies currently.
Doesn't surprise me.
It is an adaptation of a Kamen Rider Ryuki. Now, just to put it out there, this show pretty much took the entire plot and story and characters of Ryuki and threw them out the window and did its own thing. The only thing these two shows really have in common is some character traits shared among some characters and the suits. And that's kind of it. For all intents and purposes, they are two separate shows. So if you think you're going to be spoiled on Ryuki, don't worry. Outside of maybe when I decide to reference things that happen in Ryuki. Because we'll get there with the series. But it's 40 episodes long, which is less than Ryuki is, because I think Ryuki's 49.
Oh, wait, it actually got 40 episodes?
Yeah, it's 40. What I uploaded is half the series.
Huh.
Oh no, Ryuki got 50. Yeah, no, it's 40 episodes.
I figured it'd be less than that, but okay.
Well, technically, if you only watched on TV, was less because we only got to 38 episodes on television, and then the last 2 episodes were uploaded online because fuck you. Literally, no one on staff knew that the last 2 episodes weren't going to make it to air and were only available on the CW's website until till it happened. But thankfully, and I will make sure I get this subgroup's name right, and then I forgot to bookmark it. 1 second, folks. There it is. It's Bereke Scrubs, Bereke Scrubs. They are responsible for the release of Dragonite that we're watching, which, in more turns of events, Dragonite actually was dubbed in Japan after its release in the States, with several veteran actors, including Shinji himself, the original actor for Ryuki, dubbing Kit Taylor, who is Dragonite in this series. So Ryuki is dubbing his American counterpart in the Japanese release of this series. Look, Japanese dubs of American tokus is weird enough of a concept as it is before. It's kind of nutty. But what we're watching is technically the Japanese DVD release of the series, with the English audio inserted back in by Bereke Scrubs, because we never got a DVD release of this in the States, meaning that the only, surviving version of the series with the English audio is the original episodes that aired that people have recorded and kept. So this is literally the best version of Dragonite with the English audio to exist ever. Until maybe for the 50th anniversary, Toei can decide to give us an American DVD release of the series. Or put it on a streaming service,
Probably not.
Probably not. I don't even know who the fuck has the rights to this shit anymore. Because this is not Saban, for reference. This is a different company. I forgot who it is specifically, but this is a complete different company in and of itself that has nothing to do with Saban.
Probably for the best.
Yeah. Yeah, and Adnus Entertainment. Yeah, they're presumably the ones that might still have rights to the series somewhere. But they have not made a peep about anything since they did this series. So who the fuck knows? They tried to bring over another series, but deals fell through. I think they were maybe going to adapt Fies next. Potentially. But this series also did receive a sequel in the form of a novel in Japan. This feels so weird.
Probably because it is.
Yeah. It's like, yes, the series received a sequel in the form of a novel in Japan. Because I don't fucking know. And it gets even weirder when you look at figures and stuff, because normally Figuarts does all the writer stuff. Instead, because of the legal difference of it being Dragonite, somehow Figma got a hold of the rights and did most of the writers of the series before Bandai could actually make figures in Japan for Dragonite.
That's funny.
Yep. Which meant that when they finally did Figuarts releases of Ryuki figures, they actually had to take a step up and actually include several contract beasts with the Figuarts release of the figures. Because the Figma releases didn't include the contract beasts. But the Figuarts did. Probably because Figma beat them to the punch on doing pretty much everything the figure would have to start with.
Huh.
This series has a lot of bonkers things to it. Also, it has a Daytime Emmy Award.
Huh.
Outstanding stunt coordination, but it has a Daytime Emmy Award to its name. And,
Hold on.
and coincidentally enough, so Chris on Twitter, the day we're doing this, tweeted out saying, hey, what if for the 50th anniversary we got the guy that played Kit Taylor back to do a promotion for the CSM Ryuki driver? And I'm just like, you know what? This show has enough weird bonker shit attached to it. Fucking why not? Why not make Dragon Knight official and make it just another part of fucking Toei's writer multiverse bullshit?
I mean, fair.
Yeah. So yeah, folks, all that aside, we've got 40 episodes to talk about over the course of the next 10 weeks, because that's how long it'll take us to watch this. There's nothing else extra to it, because there's no official release of the novel, outside of some synopsis, so we're not covering that, and we're not covering anything from Ryuki, more or less. Not for a while, unless by some miracle team writer gets us a Ryuki release.
So, yeah, probably not going to.
Yeah. Although, they are doing another survey right now. Apparently it ends tonight at some point. I tweeted it at, or retweeted, like, the announcement for it yesterday, I believe.
Yeah. Also, fun fact, you could submit as many times as you want to, because out of curiosity, I hit the link a second time after I submitted, and yeah, I could submit again. I'm like,
yeah, they forgot to IP lock it, probably on
Whoops.
purpose.
So I may or may not have 2 votes in there?
I only have the one. But they did ask in there what show you wanted to see most available in America.
That was why I did too.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. Yeah.
I also love that how the original series and Kuga aren't on the list, but Agito is, which means they aren't counting the Toku HD release of Agito, I guess. They're only counting the Shout Factory releases?
Which is honestly smart.
Probably for the best. Even though they did retweet about it like a while back. I do like the things you like the most that they've done. I'm just like, well, I've only really bought one thing out of all of this, and it's not listed here as a thing I would want. Until right at the bottom, technically as Shoto figures. Even though it's the wrong line, but whatever. But, I don't know. Maybe we'll finally get a series eventually this year.
Maybe.
Maybe.
It would kind of be nice if, you know, the guy movie going live on YouTube for like hours was a sign of we're getting game.
I mean, what better promotion for the CSM game stuff than it is the actual fucking series?
Yeah. Like that one I'd be cool with. I'd be fine with Drive getting it, and same with Double.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be fine with all those choices. Granted, I'd also be fine with Force A because that would mean it gets us Mega Max eventually, maybe, and
yeah, but I feel like the repercussions leading up to that is where that problem might come more into.
Yeah, let's start with Double and then work our way to Mega Max, please.
That's why it's one of those I'm like, Double, Game, Drive, yeah, I don't think any of their movies are really too bad for the shows around it. So Yeah, I'd be fine with any. They're
Granted,
good
I say that.
start points.
Granted, I say that 3 weeks later, Team Writer announces another Heisei week or something along those lines, and it leads to the premiere of Mega Max because fuck it, let's just throw another movie out with no context to anything happening in fucking movie.
I mean, to be fair, they probably will.
I know.
Because, I mean, look at the, for lack of a better term, wonderful Geo movie we had.
Ah, yes, Heisei Generations Forever, that wonderful movie that I don't like.
But suffered through it anyhow.
Yeah.
Just to give them a view.
Mm-hmm. So, folks, now that we've talked about everything else, Dragon Knight, episodes 1 through 4. How'd you feel going into these?
I mean, I kind of didn't. I kind of was going in blind for the simple fact of, we've not watched this in a while. And
I would say a few
practically
years at
forgotten
least.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I'm just happy to watch a version of the show that doesn't have bad YouTube After Effects bullshit attached to it.
Fair.
Because that was the problem when we first watched the show on here.
Fair.
But anything else before we hit the recap?
No.
Alright, so we're going to kick things off with episode 1, Search for the Dragon. So we start off in a parking garage, where some random lady is walking to her car, and some security guard is just doing his job, kind of.
Is that what we're calling that? Because he clearly could have done something and refuses to later. I think unless his job title is official seat warmer, he's acting like he's doing his job.
Yeah. But Xaviax, who is our main bad guy for the series, and original to Dragon Knight, because the main bad guy of Ryuki is actually one of the writers. But that's not going to happen in this show for a while. At all. And even then won't be a thing past like a handful of episodes. So congratulations, Xaviax is your villain for the entire series. So he summons some mirror monsters, which are technically monsters that don't show up till the end of the show in Ryuki. As I told you, Dragon Knight is weird and bonkers given the context to Ryuki of, wait a minute, these don't show up till the end of the fucking show. And are also the only thing that shows up in the movie as like the main bad or the main things to punch in the movie. Like episode final. So they try to kidnap this lady and take her through the mirror. Only for Lin, aka Wing Knight, aka just Knight in Ryuki.
AKA unnamed man in rider suit.
Yeah.
Because,
on a bike, that is.
Because bear in mind, we don't get his name until like episode
the third
3.
The third episode.
So yeah.
Until then, he is Terminator. Because he acts like the Terminator.
More like knockoff Terminator.
Fair. So he shows up on a bike that is also original to the series because the only bikes that are from Ryuki are the ride shooters. You know, the big giant motorcycle thing we'll see in a little bit. Yeah, this bike and technically the bike Ryuki gets, or not Ryuki, Kit gets, I think in the next batch. Those are original.
Huh.
And of course are made to sell toys.
Yeah, of course.
But he shows up on his bike, kicks the monster's butt, which, as they show, no one can see but him, apparently, because that's how it works in this show. That's also not how it works in Ryuki, but shh, don't worry about it.
That's how it works.
Yeah. He attacks the monsters, destroys them, helps the lady up, tells her, you know, nothing attacked you. You just fainted. It's fine. And just leaves. And then he heads out. Here's another monster attack happening because that dinging noise is actually from Ryuki and actually is the same thing in both shows. I'm going to be doing this a lot, folks, just so you're aware. When necessary, I am going to do it. So he heads off and goes to fight it, which cuts us to the title and what can be considered the opening theme of this series. All 5 lyrics of it in generic rock. This opening's so bad. It makes me wish they actually put in the Japanese opening because it's an actual fucking song. So, yeah, we have a bad opening, and I'm going to be skipping it every time I watch this series. But after the opening, we pick up with Kit as he is talking to Ghost Dad, because Ghost Dad is technically a character, I guess, given context later, so I'm just going to call him Ghost Dad.
For now.
Yeah. So he's talking to Ghost Dad, and he's sad that Ghost Dad is gone, because he's missing, along with, like, 12 million other people, apparently, as we'll find out over the course of the series. So many people are missing, yet no one's missing. What are you talking about? There's no mass disappearance cases. If there's anything the last year has taught me is that something like this is not that unrealistic anymore. I wish I could say that is unrealistic, but no, it's entirely possible. But also, Kit keeps getting blamed for stealing things that he doesn't steal, which later contexts of the series makes sense, I guess. I don't know if we ever pick that plot back up. Anyway, Ghost Dad more or less tells him to go find a dragon. Because reasons. Ghost Dad never explains why he tells him to go find a dragon. And I love how Kit never questions why his dad wants him to go find a fucking dragon. But Cop pretty much lets him go because the place he supposedly stole something from isn't pressing charges, so he drives him home, which is a foster home, which he's leaving because he's old enough to leave. So he's getting ready to leave. One of the kids at the home took a picture of his dad and put it in a frame, except the frame was stolen, so he has to go get back the frame before he leaves. I hope you enjoy these long, drawn-out scenes of people riding around on motorcycles, because that's a good portion of the series. Somebody loves filming people driving motorcycles on this show.
Well, I mean, it's a rider show. Everyone has bikes, right? Right?
In the case of this series, yes. One of the few series that's like, no, everyone's got a motorcycle. Actually. But Kid makes it to his home, which is an apartment in an apartment building, I assume. Even though I doubt that this outside set is an apartment building. Like, it is a very strange-looking apartment building, if you ask me, if it's the case. But it's pretty much deserted. Nobody's been there forever. But he does find a blank advent deck that has a card that protects him when Drag Rider comes to, I guess, merge with him and make that advent deck complete. Because Drag Rider's not trying to kill him. At least in this series. But Kit's protected from Drag Rider attacking him, I guess. But he then starts hearing the noises of when monsters show up. So he gets to enjoy that noise for the rest of the series, which is a fun noise, I assume, to hear for the rest of your life. Because it sounds like it sucks. Because it's a very high-pitched noise. But meanwhile, we go to the hangout place of the series, which is Grace's Books, a bookstore, where we meet Maya and Trent, two of our supporting cast members that are important. We'll meet a third one who is not important. I hope you enjoy her, because she's here for the whole series and will offer nothing. Yeah. If I recall correctly from the review I watched of Dragon Knight, yeah, she's getting us nothing for the whole series. Ugh. But yeah, they discuss the ongoing missing persons case, which is apparently some cover-up thing, because Maya's a writer for essentially a conspiracy theory website with a terrible name. Fuck, what was the name of it? It's something above topsecret.com.
Yeah.
And I love how they have to keep saying .com, like, you don't have to keep saying .com.
Oh, yeah, stop. You do. Of course you do.
To be this early in the fucking internet age. But anyway, Maya also believes that these rumors of the mass vigilante, or as Trent calls him, the mass vigilante. Why?
Reasons.
Why are you pronouncing it differently?
Because.
Anyway, that she thinks that it's connected to the missing persons cases, but doesn't have anything about it. And then she's scooped by another reporter that I believe is the same reporter we run into later.
It is.
That I don't remember the name of because she's just an asshole. That's her entire character right now, is asshole. Anyway, she heads out to try to find some evidence. And that's when we catch up with Trent. Or not Trent. Why did I say Trent? Kit. As Kit continues to hear the noises and then sees some guy get snatched up by a giant spider monster. Stat of a window. I love how he's just like, oh, did anyone, and no one is looking in his direction to have seen it to start with. Like, quite literally, no one could have saw it even if they were looking. But he then spots several monsters following Maya, because Maya's nearby talking on her recorder about stuff. I guess taking notes. Kit tries to intervene, but she doesn't see the monsters and only sees him talking to no one but herself. And I guess being attacked by nothing because he then fights the monsters. Like, wouldn't she be clued in that something's happening, considering this man is pratfalling off of nothing?
Maybe.
Anyway, one of them takes her through the mirror, but doesn't get far because Lynn shows up. It saves her, and then proceeds to beat up the rest of the monsters. And then he tries to tell Kit, hey, give me the Advent deck, and he's just like, no. And I love that Lin, while saying this, is trying to pawn it off of him, but only gets his wallet. And just tosses it aside. So, Kit runs. Lin tries to give chase until he spots Maya taking pictures with her big-ass fucking camera. Jesus Christ. Why do you have a camera that's so big? I'm pretty sure cameras were smaller back then. I'm pretty sure. Anyway. He smashes Maya's camera, then leaves. But Maya gets Kit's wallet, so she'll know where he lives here in a bit. But Kit's found by the spider monster, gets knocked into a car, which sends him to... And I will just spoil this now. He sends him to Ventara. So instead of the mirror world just being the mirror world, it's actually an alien planet. That's called Ventara. And that's where they all keep ending up. I'm doing it for simplicity of recap.
Fair.
But Kit ends up technically in his blank form of his proper Dragonite form, because technically all the Ryuki riders / all the Dragonite riders have blank forms if they aren't contracted with their contract monsters, or their contract beasts. I think the only other time we ever see a blank form in series with Ryuki is Oja's. And that's an episode final, and they actually did some camera trickery by desaturating the footage that Oja was in order to replicate a blank form. Because they did not make a new suit for it. So Kit's in his blank form and getting tossed about until Lin transforms. And instead of saying Henshin, everyone in the series says Kamen Rider. And then just slams the thing in the buckle. And then the Advent deck spins in the buckle for some reason.
In a weird CG that if the actor decides to move when they do the close-up, you can see the outline of the buckle moving.
Yeah. And then an orb pretty much forms around them to put the suit on them, which is not like Ryuki at all. For Ryuki, they just slide the deck in and then they just flip on some like negative version of the suit onto them before it becomes the actual suit. They went even more basic for Ryuki for transformations, because it was like the third Heisei series and we were still figuring out how to do that in the Heisei era. Anyway, Rin shows up, fights Spider Monster. Kit figures out how to use his gear so he can summon a sword, which Lin also summons a sword that looks like a lance. Because Advent card terminology is stupid, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's a sword vent as long as it's a wieldable weapon. Even though that's not how swords work, but we'll move on.
I mean, sure it is.
Yeah. But Kit summons his sword and breaks it on the leg of the spider and then gets tossed around. That Lin then deflects him into a wall so he can continue fighting. Poor Kit. But Lin finally does his rider kick, blows up the spider monster. And the pair of them run away as Drag Rider attacks the both of them because... I don't know, he's mad about how Kit's being treated in this fight. Because for context, in Ryuki, Drag Rider's actually trying to eat them, because that's how all the mirror monsters work. They just eat people. But here, they don't eat people, I assume. So I don't know why Drag Rider is attacking them. Outside of him just being mad about stuff. But that takes us to episode 2, Contract with the Dragon. So 2 of them manage to dodge Drag Raider's attacks, and then Lin tells him to go back through a mirror or any reflective surface because that will get him back to Earth. And they actually avoid a weird thing that Ryuki has rule-wise, because in the show, in Ryuki tries to go through the mirror that Lin just goes through, but he can't, because in Ryuki, you have to go through the mirror that you entered. You can't just go back through any surface, any reflective surface.
Except they don't say that in this show?
No, because it's not a rule in this show, because before they get to the thing where, Kit would actually bounce off the window, Drag Raider actually blows it up. So he's forced to go through the car, which is technically also the same car he went through in the first place, but we just kind of ignore that. So in the context of the series, no, you don't have to come back through the way you went in. You just go back through any reflective surface. Which prevents, that rule from being broken a lot, which happens a lot in Ryuki. So good on them for making sure that they don't have to break that rule as soon as they introduce it. But Kit ducks out and leaves, and that takes us over to Grace's books, where Maya's looking into Kent, and Trent doesn't like him because he stole stuff, and apparently he's a felon, even though he hasn't been charged with anything. So technically he's not a felon. So I don't know what he's so mad about.
Stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, we cut over to Xaviax real quick because he reforms the spider monster and puts a person on top of it. So that's whatever the spider thing that is with a person.
It's a Spider-Man.
Yes. And then we follow up with following Lin as he's looking for Kit, and he comes by Grace's book. Maya sees him, but he ducks down an alley into a mirror to lose her. But we do check in with Kit, because he's back home, and he keeps being told by Ghost Dad to go find the dragon and to contract with him because of the contract card that apparently he hasn't found in his deck yet, because it's apparently the second card instead of the first card. But we check back in with Maya and Trent, and they confirm Kit's dad being gone, or being listed as missing, along with all the other people who are missing. Which takes us back to Kit, because the show loves to cut around a lot.
Yep.
God damn it. As he's followed by Lin, and also the dragon, because I don't know, Drag Raider has nothing better to do. I'm giving these contract monsters more personality than they actually have, because they're more or less just animals. They have exactly no personality, which is unfortunate. But Lin chases Kit in clearly sped up footage, which I love how obvious it is it's sped up. Because I guess they couldn't let him go above like 2 miles an hour. But Kit stops from running over someone, which gives Lin the chance to ride up to him, take the keys out of his bike, and then runs off. Making Kit walk his motorcycle all the way to Lin, who I guess he saw where he parked. And I also have to ask why Kit walked his bike all the way to him and not just walked there himself.
Because reasons.
Yeah. Anyway, once Kit there, Lin is just like, give me the Advent deck. You don't want to be involved in this. Give me the deck. And Kit's like, no, also, what the fuck's going on? And Lynn continues to not explain things because reasons we'll get to later. But their conversation's interrupted by another monster attack, so they have to go off and save this repairman from being taken by the new Spider-Man. And they do so! And Lynn goes in to attack the spider, and Kit tries to follow him and tries to transform. And I would like to note that he is holding the Advent Duck upside down, which I'm pretty sure is why it's not working.
I mean, that might be.
Yeah. It'd be funny if that's why it wasn't working. Is because he's holding it upside down. Because you can see where the hinge is. He's holding it with the hinge part facing where it's going to slot in, instead of the deck part or the card part. Anyway, Ghost Dad shows up now to tell Kit, you need the dragon to go help, so go say hi to Dragon. Go be friends with Dragon. And Kit's like, sure, I'll go be friends with Dragon. And he goes be friends with Dragon with the contract card, which Lynn does not like. Which we'll get to why some of those reasons why later. So Kit is now properly Dragon Knight. And he goes in and manages to save Lynn, because Lynn gets wrapped up in the spider's webs during his fight. And Kit does well for himself, and actually takes out the spider monster with his own rider kick. Which I think they actually cut down the time on his rider kick, because I think it's longer in Ryuki.
Probably.
Which is nice. But Lynn leaves for now, telling him what his new title is, because again, I name dropped the show at some point.
I mean, didn't we already?
Technically not the full name.
Okay, I'll give you that.
But Kit heads home, and Maya's waiting for him and asks him a whole bunch of questions, which Kit's not in the mood to answer until Maya brings up, hey, your dad's missing and I think he's connected to all this. I can help you, so help me. And he's like, fine. And then he tells her everything he knows, which is incredibly small amount of information, to be fair.
Yeah.
Because Kit's not been told a whole lot. So he can only tell Maya so much. But she tries to take him back to the bookstore, but they are interrupted by a monster attack, and Kit has to go in and fight it. And he finds a crab monster with two of the goons taking someone away, and he's fighting Crab Monster, and Crab Monster kicks his sorry ass. And that's when our third writer of the series, Kamen Rider Jobber, shows up. And now he starts fighting Kit. Spoilers. Incisor / Incisors from Ryuki, he is a jobber. He is only here to die. Because he sucks.
Say a jobber in both shows?
Yes, he is.
Okay, good.
Because in Ryuki, pretty much he goes out the exact same way as he does in this show, and he's never seen again. At least in this show, somebody better at least gets the deck, but we'll get there. But the two of them attack Kit, and that's where we leave off. So how'd you feel about these first two episodes?
I felt like it actually felt good, kind of deal.
Yeah.
Like it didn't feel... I made the comparison to this kind of putting me in the same mindset as like Power Rangers does at times. Mm-hmm. But it also feels like this kind of maybe looked at Power Rangers and realized where problems were and fixed it. Because we actually got a decent introduction that wasn't tried to rush to, make the 25-minute cut.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think for Power Rangers, especially recently, it's trying way too hard to appeal to a young audience instead of, a general audience.
which that's fine too, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those, you can tell their focus here was more story driven as opposed to just we've got to sell toys.
Yeah.
I mean, that we've got to sell toys is still there.
Oh yeah, we've got. Well, we'll get there, but we've got merch to sell.
Yeah. You started to say something that got mentioned in the next episode, I take it?
Is it in my notes? Where did I say it in my notes? I might not have put it in the notes. Okay, no, I didn't specifically put it in the notes, but it's at the end of this next episode.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, it's one of those, I'm like, I can see they had better priorities than what we've came to deal with on Power Rangers on a yearly basis concept.
Yeah. Hopefully, whatever Hasbro decides to do with Power Rangers in the next couple of years will revitalize it to some degree, because I can tell you this much, I haven't been interested in Power Rangers since RPM, really. And that was quite a number of years ago at this point.
And at that point, isn't that the most recent well-received Rangers season?
Probably, because I think every show since then has had a very mixed reception depending on who you talk to. I think the next closest one was actually Dino Charge.
I could see that.
And also, RPM was the last season under Disney, and everything since then has been what people call Neo Saban. With, I think, technically Beast Morphers being Hasbro, even though all the same people who have been doing Power Rangers for the last few years were doing Beast Morphers, so nothing really changed. Outside of, hey, let's adapt those 2 episodes where Type G Gabon shows up in Go Busters. And which makes me entirely confused of like, why? Because this is the second time you've brought in a Metal Heroes character who appeared in a Sentai series. Because they also brought in Jiraiya from Ninja Steel as something, I don't remember his name. Is incredibly strange. But yeah, I can't think of a recent Power Ranger season that has been well received, like either mildly received or nobody liked it.
Yeah.
Because nobody liked American Force, really.
So I mean, that's where I'm kind of like, this feels like if it's on par with that, then maybe that's where the problem was lying, was the fact that at some point Rangers took that shift to let's pander to the younger audience instead of, actually try to make a show.
Considering some of the show's insistence on comic relief characters, especially in Ninja Steel, yeah, I could buy that.
Whereas I feel like with this, we might at some point get just a random comedic relief character that is literally there for a little bit and then gone. But I don't even really see that. I feel like this show's probably a little too serious to decide to take a joke like that.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that part of it, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. But shall we hit the second half?
Yep.
Alright, so we pick up with episode 3, Kamen Rider Incisor. So Lin arrives and he sees this fight going on, and initially he's going to intervene, but then decides not to, and just watches. I guess he's kind of evaluating how Kit's fighting at the moment. And also a pile of other reasons that we'll get to later. Let's just say Lin's relationship with Kit at the current moment makes a lot of sense once we get to later part of the series. But back with Kit, he gets nowhere fast fighting Incisor in what's technically called Volcancer is his contract beast name. Wing Knights is technically called, I think it's Blanc-Wing. Although I think it's in Ryuki, it's actually called Darkwing. I am sad they changed it from Darkwing to Blanc-Wing. But anyway, Kid eventually just gets out of the fight with no questions answered because he's trying to ask Incisor questions, which he wasn't answering because fuck you. And a few bruises. And then we find out that Incisor is shitty Richie Rich.
Yep.
More or less. Because his name is actually Richie. But his last name isn't Rich, but it might as well be. So this guy is shitty Richie Rich. But essentially, Xaviax, as disguised as a lawyer for his father, has more or less coerced Richie into working for him as Incisor in order to get $1 million so he can kind of get his life back. His shitty rich life back.
That I have to feel like never really was gone to begin with?
Probably not, because Xaviax more or less will do everything possible to manipulate people to get what he wants.
Yeah, that was the one thing I was sitting there thinking the whole time. I'm like, yeah, he just found a sucker is all that was.
Oh, he's gonna find plenty of suckers. He loves him. He loves anybody he can, like, more or less cut a deal with. But after that whole backstory segment, we check in with Rin, who's training. And this takes, like, 4 minutes. I think the only thing I have noted for me is, why are you wearing, like, paintball vest?
To make him look tough.
I guess. I'm very confused by his paintball vest that he wears. At least it's not as bad as Gates' stupid bibble thing.
Fair.
But after this whole training session thing, we check in with Maya as she gets access to an exclusive website from JTC, who's some famous hacker person who's in the know about all this information, and gives her access to her website, which actually one of the blurry photos is of one of the future riders. And it's, well, Ryuki name is Raya. I forget his name in Dragonite. But you can actually tell it's one of the other riders. I cannot tell you what the rest of the blurry photos were.
Probably random monsters throughout different parts of Ryuki, if I had to guess.
Probably. But at this point, Kit drops by and Maya talks to him about the information, and I can't help but notice their laptop because that's the exact same fucking laptop I had a long time ago. Like, literally, that is the exact same model of a laptop, and I'm just like, oh my god, I feel old. Ugh. But Maya goes over the new information with him and confirms to him, like, hey, your dad is probably one of these missing people that have been taken by the monsters. And Kit's like, oh, I always thought he just poofed. Didn't really know why, but now I know why. Actually giving him a reason to be in the show, unlike Shinji, who never had a reason to be in the show. But after all this, Kid heads out, and then he's confronted by Incisor once more, so he fights him. But Kid continues to get his ass handed to him because new guy, don't know how to fight. But this time, Lin shows up and actually helps him, and the two of them fight Incisor for a bit before he's like, nah, fuck this, I didn't sign up for handicap matches, bye. He just leaves. But at this point, Lin explains a little bit more. More or less, all the Advent decks got stolen from the writers of Ventara. And Xaviax has them, and he's been giving them out. And there are, in total, 12 decks. If you know Ryuki, you're wondering where the missing deck is, I say, give the show a minute. There's a reason they specifically say 12 decks. Because technically the 13th deck is kind of just this oddball deck that is kind of a break glass, this is an emergency deck. Also, both of the alternatives from Ryuki don't count because they're not counted as writers in this series. In Ryuki now, I guess? I don't know. We'll get to that part eventually. But also, Lin says that the reason Kit's being attacked is because Xaviax and everyone else thinks Kit's working with him, which he technically is for all intents and purposes, so. But Lin takes him to train, and Lin whoops his ass because Knight has dumb cards.
He kind of has a lot more experience.
Yeah, he has dumb bullshit cards of, I can multiply myself, or I can more or less create a sonic boom that fucks with you. I don't just have weapon cards. Which, that's technically all Ryuki has, right? Or, not Ryuki. Dragonite has at the moment. He only has sword vent.
You weren't wrong.
Yeah, he only has a sword vent, a guard vent, and a strike vent. And that's it. But after Lin kicks his butt, he says it's enough for today, and then they head off, where we pick them up in episode 4, A Writer's Challenge. Oh, it's actually at this point where he explains it all at the start of episode 4, not the end of episode 3. My bad. I did things out of order.
Oops.
But anyway, after the whole explanation I just gave, the two of them hear a monster, they go to intercept it, they fight it, do a double rider kick. They're working on their teamwork. They're doing good. We check in with Maya, who's now being forced to assist with the reporter from before, Michelle Walsh. She'll be important later in the series, actually.
Really?
She'll still be an asshole, yes. And a move that may or may not have been a rewrite late in production, but we'll get there. But Maya's more or less forced to give coffee for this lady, and in a later scene where Lin's fighting a monster, is forced to just take notes and keeps getting called out for ignoring Michelle and watching Lin fight this monster who keeps throwing him in and out of the mirror.
Which I find funny.
Also, reporter lady believes that all this is bullshit. Again, we'll get to that later. But Xaviax continues to push Richie into fighting, because then he has Richie's motorcycle impounded. I assume on purpose. But eventually we catch up with Kit as he's studying up on his cards, and you can actually spot his survive cards on the desk behind his hands, specifically his trick vent, because yes, he gets the same bullshit thing that Wing Knight gets, where he can multiply himself.
Of course he does.
Because he'll get a couple cards related to his weapon, and I think he also gets what's called Strange Vent, which essentially lets him copy anyone's card. Strange, I know. Weird, choice, I know, but that's one of the cards he ends up getting. But here's a monster attack, heads out. Richie Rich also hears it and heads out, but Lin gets to it first and kind of just fights it off screen while Maya's watching him getting dunked in and out of the mirror, but he cleans up. And by the time Kit gets there, Lin's already taken care of it. Two of them talk. Lin finally gives his name before they spot Richie Rich up on in some stairs. And he's like, that is the other rider. And I love how Kit's like, how do you know? And I love that there's an actual pause from Lin of just like, I sensed it. Spoilers, he's lying. There's a reason he knows exactly who this guy is, but we'll get to it later. But they end up cornering him, and instead of both fighting him, Lin takes him on one-on-one. So the two of them fight for a little bit. Lin is on the back foot for most of the fight until he manages to get his rider kick off. Richie Rich counters with his rider hamster ball, because it's technically not a rider kick, because he just turns himself into a ball and throws himself at someone. Lin's kick actually gets through and causes both Richie Rich and Volcancer to be sent to the void, specifically the Advent Void. Will they be trapped there forever? Yep. Essentially, we are shadow roaming people instead of murdering them in this series. Because we aren't allowed to kill people on television. And this is also part of the reason why Lin doesn't want Kit involved, because you're gonna have to do this at some point. And I don't want that on your conscience. But Lin takes Richie Rich's Advent deck, because the only thing left behind is the deck. And he heads out, and Kit is, of course, a bit shaken by this and his deck until he hears the noise, and he's just like, fuck, I gotta go fight, because someone else is gonna get taken. So he heads out, only for our next rider to be spying on him, which is Torque, aka Zolda. And that's where we end for now. So how'd you feel about these last two? Oh, Tommy, you there?
Yep.
Yeah, how'd you feel about the last two?
I feel like there is starting to be more questions than answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the next batch cleans it up a good bit, but
okay.
I think we'll still have some questions for a while.
I mean, outside of that, I feel like it's at least better than our trudge through Ichigo was.
Yeah.
Because it felt like we went through so many episodes and didn't get the amount of plot progression the first episode of this did.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, it's like, yeah, I'm more a story-driven person. I'm not saying Ichigo's bad, but it is slow.
Yeah. I can definitely say, I would say all the questions you have at the moment are going to be answered at minimum before the halfway point of the series.
Oh, the way it's progressing, it wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't in the next batch.
Yeah.
I mean,
Also,
it's got a pretty solid pacing.
Yeah. Also, if I remember correctly, technically the halfway point of the series is also technically the end of Ryuki because they use the final episode of Ryuki as footage. Which is one of those what moments?
Yeah.
So, yeah, trust me, the halfway point of the series is kind of a big twist. And like, oh, wait, we have 20 episodes left? What do you mean we have 20 episodes left? Is it the... Okay. So, we'll chip away there, but so far I'm enjoying the show.
Yeah, same here.
But anything else?
I can't think of anything.
All right, then next week will be more Dragon Knight, but between now and then is tomorrow more Spartan Ops and part-time hunting.
Yep.
Yay, Spartan Ops. Ugh.
And Glock may or may not join.
Yep. Thursday will be us continuing Deadlocked.
Us.
Friday.
You mean you?
Me continuing Deadlocked. Friday will be us continuing, or us doing
I
something.
don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to try tomorrow to look around and see if anyone got 3-player Ultimate Alliance working, and if so, how.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to happen, so that might have to get ditched, or I might have to try to find the remake. Because I do know there was that split with the mods.
Yeah.
So maybe I can find the remake one and that'll work. But yeah. If not, I have no idea right now.
Saturday will be TGS, where we'll get to talk about the new trailer for Super Mario 3D World, and I have no idea what else at this point. There has been a whole lot of not really much else, anything else going on.
Fair.
And then that takes us back around to Sunday for more Dragon Knight. So if you like what you're seeing, drop a follow. Really appreciate it. Chipping away at that affiliate goal. At TGSoon on Twitter gets you updates when we go live. Exclamation point Discord and chat. Get your Discord link. Drop by, say hi. We'll see you tomorrow, folks.